loud, man.
Okay, I spoke to both of you in the dressing room. I'm cautioning you now, obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
Jim, I see this fight as an athlete. Tony, who was a high school quarterback, against a warrior, Barkley, in what may just turn out to be a Warriors game. We'll see whether Tony can maintain his poise in the face of what is expected to be fierce pass rush.
I think the most important man tonight is Richard Steele. They couldn't have picked a stronger referee.
You like Richard Steele?
For this fight, take somebody strong and willing.
Barkley comes out with an apparent urge to overwhelm Tony from the beginning, and Tony catches him inside with counter lefts and rights. Barkley trying to go to the body, Tony coming right up the middle, and James Toney is giving better than he's getting.
Tony is getting in good uppercuts right now, left uppercuts. But he shouldn't throw too many of them the first round.
Well, already you've seen Tony's superior technicianship. Iran came in winging wide, as he loves to do. He stepped right up the middle to take advantage.
Tony should keep this as skillful as he can. Barkley is not a skillful fighter. He's a puncher. Why wait in and play that game?
Yeah, but now we're into stage 2. Tony, who's often accused of not fighting the full minutes, or the full 3 minutes of every round, begins to stand against the ropes and allow Barkley to wail away at it.
And Barkley has been caught with some effective shots that in the body that could have some telling points as the fight goes along.
Barkley will keep going to the body. He's not the kind of guy who forgets to do it. Tony scores with an uppercut inside. But the longer James stands still on the ropes, the more he plays Barkley's game.
I think if he stands on the rope and not try to push him, it can be a lot more effective than trying to push him out. Just hit him because he's not quick. He's only powerful. Good body punch, a good left hook to the side, and Barkley is starting to show a little blood.
That's right. There's blood under Iran's left eye. Barkley has a history as a bleeder, and right now, Tony is whacking away with tremendous effect in the middle of the ring. And Tony just walks away and rests for a second, and Iran Barkley comes storming back at it.
He walked away because he said earlier, you're going to see some blood quick. He has seen blood. Now he's happy.
Couldn't ask for a more entertaining first 2 minutes of the fight. It was everything the experts expected it to be.
For the first time in Tony's career, about fighting only a few minutes every round should be right time. He shouldn't exalt himself.
Tony looks very relaxed and very confident early on in his first bout against a really high-skilled, accomplished 168-pound fighter. There's a good right uppercut inside that brings the crowd alive.
Barkley has been hit before by some of the best punchers in the world. He's gotten up, so you don't get carried away. Once you hit him, you just keep it set up in that fashion.
Iran Barkley is the only man on the planet who has beaten Tommy Hearns twice. Nobody else can claim that.
Barkley is going to the wrong corner.
All right, he's a sucker for the uppercut. The uppercuts that you're hitting him with, keep hitting him with him, and come back with that left hook. What we're going to do is pump the jab. I want the overhand, the head crack. You see you hit it with the head crack? Right. Okay, that's all he's going to do. He's standing right up. That's all. He's standing right up. That's all. Over with the head crack. What you got? But what he's going to get, he's going to pump that stiff jab like I showed you. All right, that's all. That's all you got to do. Fit my fist right over here. That's all you got to do. Just keep that jab pumping out. When he stands up. When he stands up, pump. Go first, bro. Here we go, man. Pump the jab. That's all I need, all right? That's
What Tony must do in this fight is early on to put a lot of hurt on Barkley, because if Barkley is still there in this of the fight, he's going to come on with his strength.
He said earlier he was going to hit this guy in the side, and Barkley is starting to land punches around the side. But it seems that Tony's left jab is the best thing he's got tonight.
Well, you already saw the punch stat numbers that indicated a great first round for James Toney. And beyond those numbers, he doubled Barkley in power shots, 23-17.
I think Tony is going to have to settle in and realize I can outbox this guy. It's real easy. Jab him and stop worrying about taking him out. If he makes that decision, it can be an easy fight for him. But if he doesn't, he's going to get rocked and rolled tonight.
And incidentally, the blood was from Barkley's nose, not from above his eye.
And I don't think Tony likes that. Got a little overconfident because he thought the blood was coming up.
Good chopping left-hand counter inside by Toney. He has great counter-punching ability, and against a guy like Barkley, that will afford him a lot of opportunities. Oh, right hand on the shoulder of Toney seemed to stun him for a second. Both fighters landing to the body.
Come on, work it, get out, work it,
It's going to take 2 or 3 rounds before Tony realizes I'd better respect this big man's power.
Barkley just missing with the right cross. It skimmed across the side of Toney's head.
When you're 160 pounds, those right hands that you turn don't hurt that much. When you're 68, those right hands numb your legs.
Good uppercut inside by Toney. You heard Bill Miller, Tony's trainer, telling him that Barkley was a sucker for an uppercut, and Toney lands another one in there.
Punch to get out.
But those uppercuts got to be followed by something around the side, some body punches, chest and to the side, because this guy's regularly about 200 pounds. He's accustomed to taking big shots like that
Punch to get out.
from bigger guys.
Come back.
Toney landing with the jab. Barkley just steps past it to come inside. Toney's quicker hands still a factor, particularly every time they step away from the ropes and into the middle of the ring. Barkley landing a left hook to the top of Toney's head.
Tony is really getting good with his left jab at this point. He's standing right on the ball of his feet, jabbing and not jumping backwards. When you see a fighter do that, that means he's confident.
Right.
Toney fighting a masterful fight at close quarters, keeping his poise, picking his shots.
Baby, just do what we can do. We continue to do this here. If we can do this for about 5 or 6 rounds, we can bust this guy up. All right? How you feel, baby?
Feel like a fucking champ.
All right.
That's what?
Hit him with a muscle. That's what we got to have.
Right.
Hit him in the muscle. Your left hand is down already.
Right.
You hit him in the muscle. Your left hand is down already. All right? Let's keep on doing the same thing. Keep doing the same thing, champ. That's all.
Okay.
That's all. But I need more of that jab.
There's a Barkley punch, but it did not land flush. James Toney is very, very difficult to hit on the head. People have said he has a small head, and he rolls his shoulders away from punches very cleverly, George.
Move your hand. Move your hand. All right? Move your hand. That's sticking.
That was an odd punch we saw in the replay. At best, it appeared to hit Toney on the shoulder, but it also appeared to stun him for a second. And Barkley, George, is a guy who wants to hit you anywhere he can make contact.
Right. Now, Tony has sold all the whoop kickers about how he's going to knock him out. Now he should be contented with just winning every round. Let the knockout come by itself. Don't try to create it. Barkley should try and make this fight as wild as he can and stop standing back with his left jab. Just get in there and wade in there.
It was the left shoulder where Toney was hit, but he's using the left hand liberally. So it does not appear that there was any injury which should affect him in the bout. Toney again scoring a right uppercut inside. Barkley continues to bang away to the liver and kidneys, trying to slow Toney down to create some opportunities later on in the fight.
I think Barkley coming in with his mean demeanor and how tough he is. Now he should settle down, but he's going to think the crowd is going to say, you can't do it, you're scared. So he puts himself in a corner that he shouldn't be in at this point. With his longer reach, he should have been ahead on point.
A Another uppercut lands inside. Most effective punch of the bout for Tony by a wide margin. Tony walking away. Barkley steps in and whacks with the left hook.
No holding.
And we got a fairly steady flow of blood now coming out of both of Iran Barkley's nostrils.
Come on, let's work.
Tony is not content because he wanted him to be busted in the eyes at this point. Good right hand by Barkley.
Good left hook inside by Tony. Right by Tony. Right hand by Barkley. They are trading shots.
Those exchanges do not help Tony.
There's a solid right cross by Tony, but it didn't seem to stun Iran Barkley. And one thing we know about Barkley, he can take a punch.
Very smart. Tony landed his shots and moved out of the way.
And the mouthpiece is knocked completely out of bounds by the fabulous right cross from Tony. And here comes Iran stepping in without his mouthpiece, showing his courage and his resiliency.
Tony is starting to get real accurate. He's throwing that right hand right down like threading a needle.
Go to front. Go. Stand.
And now Richard Steele will give Barkley a chance to replace the mouthpiece.
Let's go. Let's go.
Iran Barkley does take a punch, as you say, Jim, but it's not a virtue to take many hard, clean punches.
And you know something? Iran Barkley's eyesight is real bad at this point. He doesn't even know where Tony is unless he's bumping bodies with him.
And let's remember, he once had a detached retina in his left eye.
He's had 2 detached retina surgeries in the left eye. There's a solid left hook by Tony. Barkley comes back with a left to the body.
If
More
Tony would
Barkley
only,
stuff to the body. I'm sorry, George.
if Tony would only back away, he can see that this see him.
You know, Larry, you talk about the vision thing, and Barkley went to the wrong corner at the end of round 1. They're both trimmed in black and red all the way down.
All right? Okay, hands up.
Okay, let's look at that clean right hand, and there you saw the mouthpiece flying outside of the ring. Once more, with feeling. Measuring his opponent, very cool inside, very impressive, Tony. He is fighting up and surpassing the level of his opponent so far.
You know you only got a minute to rest. Why would they stuff his nose with all that stuff? Can he take a second win? Can he rest him? That's not a smart idea.
Well, they must be worried about the blood flow. Maybe that nose is broken, George, and that's why it's bleeding so profusely.
You work with Q-tips, even a bigger Q-tips, but you don't stick that much stuff up when the guy's supposed to be resting in the corner.
Good point. Another right cross after a right uppercut. Tony with target practice now inside against Barkley's head. Look at the fast hand. This is brilliant stuff from James Tony.
If Tony would step around to the other side of the ring, he can see the vision problem that Barkley is having and wouldn't let him get close, because he's got to get close to feel where he is. He's punching by feel now. He just doesn't see what he's doing. A low blow, Tony.
Well, this has been Iran's method for years. Lean in, shoulder the opponent, get your body on him, and then pound away at close quarters.
And he's thrown a lot of punches to Tony's hip. The belt in that fashion. This is not what Tony needs to be taking at this point.
Chopping right hand by Barkley missed. Tony spins away and shows off his hand speed and combinations again. James Tony piling up points early against Iran Barkley.
Barkley has been in this amount of trouble before, so you just can't just get overconfident with him. He can still land that telling blow, have you on the floor.
Yeah, when he knocked out Tommy Hearns several years back, it was a fight in which he had been thoroughly dominated all along and was bleeding badly. But he can launch one.
There you go.
Now Tony is starting to land shots to the side now. That's going to help this young fighter as a
Taking a page out of Barkley's book, saying to himself, well, if we're going to stand here shoulder to shoulder, I may as well do the same thing Iran does and whack away at the liver.
Barkley is starting to push him into the corners now.
No low blow warnings from Richard Steele. Barkley has begun to land several to the hip area of James Toney.
That's right.
Chopping rights inside. 3 of them landed. And Richard Steele wants Barkley to come to his corner so that his glove can be retained.
This helps Tony because he's taking a well-earned breather here. He should be sucking in as much oxygen as he can right now, not just stand there.
But Tony has shown so far that his claim that he could be more active at 168 than he was at 160 is true.
Tony's connecting nearly half of his punches in this round, 18 of 43 so far. Barkley didn't get a chance to dab at the blood streaming from his nose while he got that glove rewrapped. Tony with the jab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. Barkley jabs back. Tony knocks the mouthpiece out again, this time with a short left hook.
You can train him and join me and the lazy left hand he's got.
Harold Letterman, how do you score the bout so far?
Jim, 4 rounds to none, 40 to 36, James Toney. I think he's just winning this fight on clean punching. You know, we score on clean punching, effective, aggressive leadership and defense. James Toney is winning this basically on the clean punching.
Pick it up now. Get tired.
Any arguments, ladies and gentlemen?
If he's losing it all, it's because he's being hit with the punches below the belt and on the hip that may have some effect if the fight goes to the 10th and 11th round.
Now you're going to see the 3 right hands that Tony landed toward the end of the round. 1, 2, 3. And Barkley out of that round laughing. Whew.
Well, that's Iran. He loves to rumble. At the time at which, or at the age, I should say, at which Tony was playing high school football, Iran was in a life and death street gang in the Bronx named the Black Spades.
Pull it back.
The thing about being a fighter, you got no gang. You got to do it all by yourself.
Tony with a splendid right in there.
Tony is real effective when Barkley throws that hook. He's get underneath it. Takes a lot of, and it discourages a fighter when you go underneath his left hook.
Barkley chases Tony to land one relatively light left hook. And starts punching away to the hip joint again.
That can really be a young fighter because he'll let you hit him not knowing what you're doing to him.
Well, elaborate on that, George, because to the average guy, it might not look as though those punches mean anything.
Yeah, you go to your corner and you can barely sit down on your stool because your hip is sore and you don't know what's going on. Because you're not hurt on top, you're not suspicious. This is a job for a referee now.
Probably too many referees let guys get away with it.
Richard Steele is looking up high and he hasn't glanced down yet.
He's looking for
headbutts. He's said once, keep him up. He's only said it once.
Yeah, but he's watching for headbutts, which is another frequent occurrence in Barkley's fights because of his style.
He's admonished once to keep him up, but that's not enough. He should pull this guy up and say, you're not going to have it.
Double right inside by Tony. Bang, bang. Saw the blood fly from Barkley's head.
About Tony, he weighed in at 168, but by dinner time that day, he was back up to 173. You can believe it. You don't want a guy that big leaning on you.
Well, I'm sure both of them weighed 168 by the time they came in here tonight.
No, I mean,
yeah, I know you
Barkley
mean Iran.
was up. Iran Barkley must have went back up to 173 or 175 because you can't have a man leaning on you. The same left hook that dropped Tommy Hearns, Barkley is starting to find range for.
Your hands are free work. There you go.
Now, you're telling me, George, that despite the punch-by-punch domination we've seen early from James Toney, Barkley is getting enough here and there to maybe set something up for later on.
That's right. Those body punches is helping him. He's not skillful. He's not known to win on points anyway. So why not just keep hitting on the punch, catch this guy leaning, and grab him.
Tony walks away after once again landing a flurry inside. Blood streaming from Barkley's nose, and Iran, the Warrior, continues to chase James to the ropes.
It's the old saying, you don't pull a switchblade on an elephant. And sometimes those good shots may look like they hurt, but this big hurt.
Well, this is a primitive game, and Barkley is a primitive fighter. But the man with the skill is dominating him now.
All we got to do is keep doing what we're doing. Look at it. Double hook out. That's the punch. So get us out. Double left hook. All right? He's okay. That's good. He's okay. He's all right now. Double left hook. I need to double left hook. Okay, good. He's double left hook. He can roll. Double left hook. You just hit him with the muscle. Right. That's all. And when he starts rolling like that, turn it, go underneath. Right. You got to bend your legs and go underneath. That's all. It's coming. It's coming. He's getting tired, champ. You got to roll and go underneath. That's what you got to do, champ. That's all. Need a drink? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Suck it up, baby. Come on, baby. Suck it up. Show him what you made out of. Show him what you made out of, baby. Show him what you made out of. Seconds out. I got it, baby. Don't worry about it. We got it. Show him.
Now, George Foreman, when we saw Barkley spit blood there, you got the impression that he's probably swallowing a good deal of it during the rounds. How much will that bother him?
I do believe, but this guy's accustomed to being in this kind of trouble. He probably gets it in the gym, so he's not out of tune with it. He doesn't mind right now.
Does he notice it?
Oh, he doesn't even care. His corner told Tony Rose to go underneath. He keeps going on top.
Tony with magnificent hand speed. You won't often see that kind of flurry at 168 pounds. Although now, of course, Michael Nunn has a 168-pound championship.
Come on, let's work.
Yes, but, you know, somebody with Barkley's mentality thinks, I've been hit all those punches, now I got him where I want him.
Yep.
That's just the way a fighter like Barkley thinks.
He freely acknowledged yesterday that he would never expect to win a fight like this on points. He's here to try to score a knockout. So losing rounds doesn't much bother Iran Barkley.
And as far as I'm concerned, this guy, Tony, should sit around and coast for a round now. Regroup, suck up his energy, and go for the 7th, go for the 8th, 9th, and 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Well, at what point, if you're in Tony's corner, do you tell your man to try to stay away from some of these inside confrontations and get a little bit farther away?
I think that Tony is real skillful. He knows the coast. I don't think his corner is even aware of the need to coast with such a big guy like this. The corner's never had him in with a guy this big in a fight this stature. But you got to coast at some time. You're not going to get a knockout like that. Win the fight.
Barkley sticking to his game plan with dogged determination. Keeps his head on Tony's shoulder, leans his body in on him.
Watch your shoulder.
And George, you've referred several times as Tony lands 2 more uppercuts in there and stuns Iran Barkley. Stuns Barkley with a minute to go in round 6.
But this is not the kind of at the 6th round. This is the round he should have been coasting. Not to his advantage to mix it up with him now.
And Barkley coming back, and I was about to say, you've referred several times to Iran leaning on James. It's going to help to tire Tony out, right?
That's right. Barkley has got to be weighing somewhere near 175 pounds. That big head on your chest like that, don't push him. It's going to wear you out.
Leans on James. He's pushing his legs down on the canvas all the time.
So he's following somebody's plan.
There's a left hook that landed for Barkley. Larry?
Well, I think punches wear you out also, George. And most of the good ones are being landed by Tony.
They just don't wear the big guys out like they do the smaller guys. Because sometimes you're hitting them good, and they just accustomed to being hit harder.
He finished the round with a left to the neck and 2 solid rights to Barkley's chin. And Iran Barkley looks a little weary midway through this World Championship bout.
You don't like that? You got to keep doubling the hook out, man. You got to keep doubling the hook. Make them fight, baby. Hands up and make them fight. All right, baby. That's all you got to do. Keep them hands up and then go right to them. Make them fight. Double that left hook out. Just double it up. He's turning that way. You got to double it up. Let him reach out, Eddie. Let's go. Here we go.
Watch Tony in close.
Take your time.
He's been very, very clever. He's just 24 years old. Didn't start really boxing until he was out of high school. And he has a really good athlete's feel to what's going on in the ring. There's some kind of sensitivity to the movements of his opponent and what he can do is the mark of what I would call a natural athlete.
Good point, Larry. Almost magical the way he can bob under Barkley's head, slide to the side, and then come up with the uppercut at just the right moment. Well, in all of these punch-stat numbers that you're going to see in the closing rounds, you are looking at a statistical mismatch.
We're looking at a mismatch in the fight right now. Although it could turn around, what we know of what has happened, it is a mismatch.
It's been all James Toney. But Barkley is hoping that in the war of attrition, things will begin to go his way later on.
Starting to agree with Larry now. Punches take things out of you.
Remember, I said at the start of the fight that the second half of the fight could be Barkley's unless Tony did some serious damage. And Barkley does look like he's slowing up a little bit here.
Tony, for the first time, jabbed to the body. And that's hard to see a young fella do when the fight gets in beyond 6 rounds.
You can see that Barkley's left eye is badly swollen. His vision probably compromised, but some would say, well, that vision was already badly compromised.
That Barkley's got one big left arm. That thing turns into a hook and catch you sleeping. You're going to wake up in your dressing room.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Punch and get out, says Steele. He still hasn't warned Barkley for the low blows, and they are still coming with some frequency.
Barkley's from that school. It's not how you play the game. It's winning it counts.
Work inside and get out. Pull your arms back.
Sonny Liston said that.
That would be the old school, right?
Keep him up. Keep him up.
Sonny, of course, was in some of the most distinguished schools of hard knocks, George. Back before he was idol.
Walks away and turns his head like nothing has happened.
And then rains that right hand over the top. Over and under. Brilliant display of technique by James Toney.
Barkley's left eye is completely starting to shut up now. He's better go on out there and look for a knockout because that jab can really just shut him down.
Well, for 7 rounds, it has unquestionably been James Toney's most impressive performance. And all the talk about how different he'd be at 168 pounds seems to be fulfilled with his performance here tonight.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out.
Now for the first time, Barkley is hanging on and holding. He's not throwing shots.
Now, Iran Barkley has slowed down, but he's still taking uppercuts inside.
You know that if you beat even on a rock often enough, the rock is going to start to chip and break.
I've heard that said.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it through the 7th round?
Larry, 69-64, 6 rounds to 1 favor James Toney. I think James Toney's mugging him. I mean, he's beating him up. The only round I gave to Iran Barkley was round 6, when I thought James Toney sort of dogged it for 2.5, and Iran sort of took over, most of the round. But that's it. It's all Toney.
I've got a shutout for Toney so far.
All right? Wake up now. Wake up in there. Come on.
It's turning out that for Tony, Barkley is the ideal bull. That he can exhibit his skills and his poise, all of his abilities.
Well, logic told you that a skilled counterpuncher like Toney might well feast on somebody who would come to him. And
Barkley is by no means out of this picture yet.
Okay, we'll watch that, George. 7 rounds down, 5 rounds to go. Toney landed 72% of his punches in round number 7.
Punch and get out of there.
Barkley is starting forward to hold a little bit because those uppercuts are starting to hurt. He should have been doing that earlier. When you bump, hold, make sure the guy doesn't hit you.
It's getting harder and harder to figure, George, what Barkley would do to turn it around. He's not even throwing the left hook with that much frequency now.
Time. Go to Tony. Come on. Come on, you guys. Come on.
Steele trying to hurry things up as he brings Barkley to the corner. And once again, Iran must have his glove taped.
All the way around.
Yesterday, we saw
up and down, up
James
and down.
Toney in his room playing a computer boxing game with a friend. He was losing that game, and that's the only thing he's lost in boxing this weekend so far.
Do we begin to sneak a peek ahead to what it would be like to have James Toney in the ring with Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
Not yet. We've got a few more rounds to go.
George, hang in there.
If only we could tell Barkley to just hang in there. Barkley's starting to jab now. That should have been a weapon for him early on.
Oh, what a brilliant display of accurate power punching by James Toney.
Don't hold him.
What Toney is doing, you seldom see from a young fighter. This is something you see good veterans like a late Muhammad Ali. He just jab right in.
And he's an awfully experienced young fighter, George. 8 championship fights in the last 21 months. And he is showing all the benefits of the lessons he's learned against tough opponents.
He's got an opponent just fits him right down to the teeth.
Keep him up. Keep him up. Don't hold him.
Barkley goes back to whacking away at the liver while clinching James Toney. Toney takes one of his periodic rests.
Don't hold it.
The thing Barkley didn't look at with Toney that he did maybe with Tony Hearns. Tony's got big legs. Doesn't have real skinny legs. So these guys, you just can't hit them with one shot and drop them like you would Tony Hearns.
And when he fought Tommy Hearns, 24 years old, as James Toney is.
Sometimes the 24 years old can work a lot against you, too.
Come on.
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
No, not tonight, George. Tonight it looks real good on James Toney. And the 32 don't look as good on Barkley. Left hooks from Toney. Barkley is stunned again. And Iran just can't defend himself against the crisp hand speed and punching inside.
The referee is being real generous not to give him a standing 8 count, but there is no standing 8 count tonight.
Plus the generosity. Another great round for Toney. Another session of target practice with spectacular punch stat statistics, no doubt yet to come.
Laura, go to her school. Take him to the school. All right, baby. Okay, I need more pressure.
Talk to me too, Iran.
All right, Doc. I can see the
He can see you, Doc.
He can see you, Doc. I need more pressure. Talk to me, baby. Okay, baby. Okay, I need more pressure. Give me all you got, Iran. Give me all you got.
Let me see the eye one more.
Let him see the eye. See the eye.
We'll see all right out
Yeah,
of it?
no.
You're not seeing double, Iran?
No. I need more. I need a lot of pressure this round, Iran. Jump on him. Make him fight, baby. Make him fight. Give me all you got. Give me all you got. Come on, champ. I need more pressure. No more water on that head. I'm going in the eye now. You can sit down and punch, Iran. All right, let's go, baby. Let's show him what we made of. Take a drink. Take a drink. Let's go.
Through this point in the fight, I think it's safe to say that James Toney won the super middleweight championship. It is now his to lose and Barkley's to win back.
And not only that, the doctors are really taking notice to that left eye. They don't like what they see, the ringside doctors. And he's giving the referee some instructions not to let him take too much abuse on that left eye.
Don't let the graphic fool you. This is the 9th round, not the 8th. And you heard Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Barkley's trainer, asking for what would amount to one last stand.
Come on, don't hold him. Punch to get out of there. Great. Step back.
Barkley's got a lot of heart. A little more heart than anything else at this point.
Maybe more heart than was good for him at the beginning of the evening.
Same left hook that dropped Tommy Hearns. It comes out every now and then, and a good right hand by Barkley.
Iran sticking his chin in, taking punishment, and trying to find a chance to land a haymaker.
This is what you've got to do at this point. You just can't play it safe. You're going to have to take some risks.
And now Tony is able to jab with impunity because Barkley can't even see it coming.
Punching it out, punching it out.
So James, if he wants to, can just flick the jab, pile up points, and continue to annoy Iran as Iran tries to mount the straightforward, headlong rushes that he needs to create pressure.
Good left jab. That's the kind of left jab I was talking about a middleweight needs. Tony's got an excellent left jab. Nobody about that.
Barkley flashed the left hook for a second, but missed it. Tony continues to whack away at close range.
Tony has got a lot more power at this weight.
Well, this is going to greatly improve James Toney's reputation among ringside experts, because tonight he has been everything that he always claimed he could, but seemed to fall short of being.
That same left hook just misses.
Yeah, he's missed it twice here.
This round.
Yeah, that's what I meant in this round. He's missed it a bunch on
All
the course
it takes is one left hook, and believe me, we can start talking a different language. By Iran Barkley.
I know, George. I know you're trying to protect my reputation.
Punching it out there, punching it out.
Last 10 seconds of round number 9. Iran Barkley's blood dripping onto James Toney's back.
He's out on his feet at this point.
Yeah, trouble. Tony continues target practice through 9 rounds.
I said at the
championship
start,
boxing.
Jim, I said at the start of this fight that Tony was favored, but that all the experts I talked to like Barkley. I must have been talking to the wrong people.
The fight is over. The doctors have decided he can take no more.
Stop the fight is over. The fight is over.
Mustafa Muhammad, once a very good light heavyweight champion, stopped the fight. He didn't want to see Iran Barkley take any more punishment.
Good for Eddie.
Good fight, good fight, good fight.
Really good for Eddie. A compassionate decision by Barkley's trainer.
Turned out to be a good friend.
Iran Barkley made $1 million tonight, probably his largest payday. I'm glad of it. He'll go on fighting. Know him. But it's questionable whether he can compete against good young fighters again with that style.
That's all. That's all. That's all. And much success. You go do what you got to do. There you go.
In terms of real championship level contention, Iran Barkley may well have met the end of the road tonight. And you saw there the respectful hug between Tony and the man who in effect stopped Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, the former Eddie Gregory, trainer to Iran Barkley. Everybody comes up classy in the end.
I can't go out like that.
Well, there's nobody who has more respect for a fighter than his opponent when he's been in that kind
Take your time, relax.
of a tough foxhole warfare, George.
This guy went out and got in the best shape he could possibly get in. And you got to compliment some trainer somewhere.
The difference tonight, superior hand speed, superior counter-punching, superior boxing technique by James Toney.
Think about it.
That's what happened.
We'll take a look at the devastating final punch stat numbers, which will help to under-caption what you saw in the ring, a total mismatch. James Toney landing more than twice as many punches, in fact, almost 3 times as many punches as Iran Barkley, tripling Barkley's connect percentage, and wow, when you see a guy land 65% of his punches over the course of the bout, you have seen him with what turned out to be a tactically easy assignment. Right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Richard Steele, acting on the advice of chief physician at ringside, Dr. Flip Omansky, calls a halt to the bout. End of the 9th round, the winner by TKO victory, and now the undefeated IBF super middleweight champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for one of the
in the ring today at ringside from the Bronx in New York City, Iran Barkley.
What a week for James Toney. 1 week ago on Saturday, his first child, daughter Jasmine Nicole, was born in Michigan. Now, after the biggest victory of his career, he'll get a chance to go home and see her. And let's go to, isn't that nice? And now let's go up to Larry Merchant, brand new father and brand new 160 world champ, James Toney.
Baby, but they can't stop guys like us. You know it, baby. That's right. All right. We legends, baby. True warriors. Something that Michael Nunn and Terry Noyes don't know about.
All right, James. James, what was your conversation at the end of the fight with Iran Barkley?
He's a great warrior, you know. I just gave him his props. He's been around for a long time. You know, he fought the best and beat some of the best fighters out there. Now it's my time. I can't have to do. Hey, I showed him.
From the first seconds or minutes of the
belt, baby. I want everybody home to see these belts. Everybody back in Ann Arbor. See this? Hard work, baby. I told everybody back in Ann Arbor going to do it. I told everybody out there. Michael Nunn, Nigel Benn, bring your ass. I'm ready for y'all. I ain't skipping.
James, you won the fight.
You won the fight. I'm the best. This fight is dedicated to my daughter, Jasmine. I wasn't here last week to see her birth, but I got it back for this week. It's dedicated to her, my girlfriend, Sarah, and everybody back in Ann Arbor, and Jimmy Griggs. Hey, man, my heart with your family. Hey.
James, was this an easy fight for you or a tough fight for you?
I was relaxed. I had fun in it. It was an easy fight. I had no problem.
You knew from the get-go that you were quicker and you could land combinations of it.
When Bob Bam called Jackie a couple weeks ago, we had to fight. I knew right then I was going to fight.
What was the only question? Was it your conditioning? Was it being able to withstand his charges?
Only person who question my condition is you. And my power is you. You're the wise guy saying, well, my condition is this, my condition is that. Now, what's up with that?
What do you think now?
Well, it's not what I think.
We
said on the air, everybody said on the air that James proved this point, that at 168 pounds you could be more active than you were at the lighter weight.
Definitely. You say that. I want to hear you say it. That's all. Go ahead and say it.
When you watch the tape, James, you'll hear it said again on numerous occasions.
There you go. I'm the best. And Albert, baby, come home tomorrow. Jasmine, I love you.
Were you ever hurt? Did you ever think you had hurt him?
I hurt him every time I punched him. But you know, the man's strong. He got a heart of a warrior. He's stuck in there to the very end.
What would you like to do next? Are you ever going to fight at 160 again?
No. Next, well, I got a list with about. I want to fight soon. Stay busy. Let my hands go down a little bit. Fight within this couple months. Stay busy.
Are you willing to fight Roy Jones at 168 pounds?
No matter. Whatever.
Is that a yes? You want to fight him?
I don't think nobody.
Did you see his fight earlier against Glenn Wills?
What fight? The man came in quick, got his money, that's it. Well, right now, is it the point right now where Roy Jones got to go out and prove himself?
Do you think this victory will finally get just due from skeptics?
Oh, definitely. Everybody out the ringside saw what I did to Iran. I took him apart, bit by bit, piece by piece. I did what I had to do.
Thank you very much, James. You fought an outstanding fight.
George Foreman, baby.
Back to you, Jim.
Jim Lavely.
Thank you, Larry. Now, George, there's the definition of a chip on the shoulder. He has a big night. He won the fight convincingly, and he's still pissed off.
Well, he's enjoying himself. What did Larry call it? The hormonal mix-up?
That's right. That's a testosterone festival the other night. Yeah.
It was a good fight. Barkley didn't lose this fight because he was old. He was outboxed, outpunched, and he lost fair and square.
So what you're saying is even 10 years ago, Iran, at his very, very best, wouldn't have had the guns to go against a guy like Tony
That kind
tonight.
of style, with those kind of legs, he could have whipped this guy in any era, any
All right,
day.
let's see what Barkley does to Larry Merchant.
All right, Iran, what surprised you about the opponent tonight?
You know, first, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the strength and the victory again. But, you know, what surprised me the most was, you know, he boxed a little, and he was willing to hang, you know. But I gave it all I had, you know, and I'm not ashamed of nothing.
Were you surprised that he was able to stay in there with you and fight longer than you expected him to be able to fight and just not be intimidated by someone as strong as you?
Well, you see, the main thing was he was breathing hard as I was heading to the body. If I could have just stayed in a little more and kept dealing what I'm dealing, I had him. I was slowing him down. You know, I kept seeing him breathing hard, breathing hard. I said the next round I can have him. I can have him.
Were you unhappy that your trainer, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, decided that you had enough punishment for the night?
No, I wasn't sad. You know, Eddie had my best interest, you know. What can I say? Tony, you know, he won tonight. Eddie said that, hey, we can come back another day and get him. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, don't worry about it, baby. I said, Eddie, I want to go. He said, nah, man. To my best of my ability, you know, hey, you my man. So you got to stop, man. You gave it all you had, and you can do it, you know?
Well, if we know you, you'll be back.
Well, I'm just going to take a rest.
Back to you guys at ringside.
Well, all right. You can't say enough about Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. You made a whale of a point before the fight when you said that all of Barkley's bravado and the mean-spiritedness may have been more a show than reality.
That's right. It reminded me of the days when I went through my first graveyard visit in the nighttime. I'm not scared. Boy, was I scared. So sometimes it's not needed for a good veteran to boast at all. Just go out there and do it.
So it was natural coming from Tony, but not from Barkley in this
More
instance.
natural from Tony, but the veterans, they don't have to do that.
All right. The man who stopped the fight, in effect, at the suggestion of Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, was Nevada Commission Dr. Flip Omansky, and he's with Larry Merchant right now.
All right, Doctor, were you going to stop this fight if the corner of champion hadn't decided to stop it first?
I talked to Eddie after the prior round and told him that it was going to be stopped so that it wouldn't be a problem. He knew it was something that we talked about during the round. Iran was at the point where he wasn't protecting himself, was taking too many head blows. The eye never completely closed, but he was no longer protecting himself. He'd taken enough.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hermansky. All right, Jim.
All right, so we look ahead down the road with two fighters tonight having greatly polished their credentials for future action. Jones at 160, Tony up at 168. Now, Tony mentioned some of his potential opponents at 168. Michael Nunn, a man he's already knocked out as a middleweight back at 160. Nunn certainly has the technical skills to punch with him, but maybe not the power to fight with James Toney.
Nunn has Angelo Dundee this time, who he will listen to. So if I was him, I wouldn't go looking for Michael Nunn. Not to say he can't whip him, but at this point, you don't want that skillful of a fighter because he will move and hit you back quicker.
That's a very tough fight for him. He also mentioned Nigel Benn. Benn is another warrior like Barkley. Might be a great match for Tony.
Barkley is something to see, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, and Benn's another guy who comes straight at you. And Tony would have all the same tactical advantages against Nigel Benn that he had against Barkley tonight, right?
If my boys weren't named George, I'd name them
Nigel.
Tony.
I got you. All right. Well, you can name him anything you want, George, as you've already proven that. Larry Merchant, your final thoughts on both fights in which we have two fighters, Jones and Tony, who have greatly polished their credentials for action down the road.
Well, my thoughts during these fights was Stacey Stengel once said how great the youth of America was. And it was just too much youth, too much ambition, too much need on the part of young people to move on and upward and to establish themselves for what they really want as prize fighters, as athletes, and as performers. And that's for the recognition from everybody, from the experts, from the fans, that they are someone special. This was the most special performance by James Toney since he knocked out Michael Nunn with one punch less than 2 years ago. It's odd that he hasn't gotten more recognition. Perhaps it was inevitable in the kind of fights he fought, but he showed tonight that he is indeed one of those athletes who performs up or just a little beyond the level of his opponents, and I don't think he will ever be estimated again. As for Roy Jones, nobody like a Tony has hit him on the jaw yet, which is the true mark of a champion. Maybe Tony will get his chance. Maybe Jones will get his chance. Hopefully it will be against each other.
Yep, Roy Jones and James Toney, two 24-year-olds who were the stars of the evening. When they meet each other down the road, not if, but when, will probably be determined by the question. Roy Jones wants to win a 160-pound middleweight championship before he goes up to 168 pounds. He may, in fact, wind up fighting for the 160-pound belt that Tony is vacating to stay at 168.
the one governed by the IBF. And to win that title, Roy Jones would probably have to beat a fighter named Bernard Hopkins. Then he can move up anytime he wants, ultimately probably to meet James Toney at 168 pounds. So we enjoyed watching these two fights tonight. I hope you enjoyed them with us after the disappointment of last week's heavyweight bout. Now let's look ahead to our next World Championship fight on HBO.
On March 6th, the boxing brawl with Fight of the Year written all over it is only coming to HBO. Two great champions finally step into the ring. Southpaw Pernell Whitaker steps up in weight in an attempt to capture the title from WBC World Champion Buddy McGirt in a scheduled 12-round pound fest. It's everything you'd expect from World Championship boxing. McGirt versus Whitaker, Madison Square Garden, live Saturday, March 6th, only on HBO. What's the champ say? Just you wait.
Back live at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, where earlier this evening, middleweight prodigy Roy Jones scored the 21st consecutive victory, the 20th by KO, a knockout at 2:23 of the first round, as referee Toby Gibson stopped the fight, protecting Glenn Wolfe, a fighter who before tonight had never seen a stoppage or a knockout in any of his fights against him. And then James Toney at the end of the 9th round gets a TKO when the fight is stopped to protect Iran Barkley from taking any more punishment. In what was a one-sided battle, Toney with superior technique and counter-punching skill beating Barkley every step of the way. Stay tuned immediately following tonight's boxing coverage for Real Sex 5 on the East Coast and Free Jack on the West Coast. And now for Larry Merchant and George Foreman and Harold Letterman, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Las Vegas. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's telecast was produced by Michael J. Whalen and directed by Mark Payton. The associate producers were Dave Harmon and Kirby Bradley. The features producers were Kendall Reed and Brian Brown. Assistants to the producer, David Leapson, Adam Berger, Artie Curry, and Brian Lilly. The production manager was John McCallie. The technical supervisor was Bob Hunter. Presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
On March 6th, the boxing brawl with Fight of the Year written all over it is only coming to HBO. Two great champions finally step into the ring. Southpaw Whitaker steps up in weight in an attempt to capture the title from WBC welterweight champion Buddy McGirt in a scheduled 12-round pound fest. It's everything you'd expect from World Championship boxing. McGirt versus Whitaker, Madison Square Garden, live Saturday, March 6th, only on HBO. What's the champ say? Just you wait. Next.
weighing in at 330 pounds and wearing the stars and bars, presenting the undisputed 4-round super heavyweight champion of the world, Butter Bean. The most well-recognized faces in professional boxing, the king of the four.
With a record of 1 win and 1 loss. With a professional record of 11 wins, no losses, 7 by knockout.
Corner away from the bell.
Butterbean in between rounds. And they are into this fight. Good right by Butterbean. He made a survival ball. He's not punching much. I don't think he has hands. Not much behind that. He just reaches out to hold on. Good body work by Butterbean.
To try a left hook to the body, then go upstairs. Now he's uppercutting.
The interesting thing that
unfortunately, he walks into the best punch of the fight. At the end of the round, he's separating the fighters. And referees cannot protect themselves at all times the way fighters do it.
Well, the fight is stopped not because Terry Wood got knocked down, but because Pat Jackson doesn't want to go on. And one happy guy is Terry Wood, who doesn't have to ref anymore. Well, the Bean, is he going to double knockout on this one?
He certainly should.
12-2 with 2 draws, 7 KOs to his credit from his professional record. 37 victories, 29 knockouts, 1 defeat with 1 draw. He
A good clean break, step back, break clean. Keep your hands up, have a good bite. Step back.
Going to go after Butterbean's head. Much bigger.
He's trying to make Butterbean miss. Oh, he got there, but he's trying to make Butterbean miss because he knows that Butterbean
has a history of busting up, you know.
Well, Bean caught him with a left hook and dropped him. Eaton, say, tribute to the commissioner. He's been in with a new nutritionist, and Eaton dropped again. Over. Bean, target practice. It's over now. It's all over. Well, it took more than 1 mule punch from Bean, several indeed, to drop him.
By knockout victory, he is still the king of the 4-rounders. Challenger Patrick Shamrock Graham. With a professional record of 39 victories, 30 by knockout. Only 1 loss with 1 draw.
No. This is 4 rounds. Touch gloves. Let's go to work.
Low, vaporized.
Yeah. He's added a little left jab to his.
Butterbean
now Graham is starting to use his jab. He can do a lot.
And Butterbean counters over the top of the jab. 4, 5.
It was a right hand. And he eats right. He looks good.
And he winks at George while you're talking to him, and then knocks Graham through the ropes with a body punch. Now, Babe Ruth, incidentally, was in the 12th row the night that Dempsey went through the ropes against Firpo. And for years afterward, Ruth told people that he helped to push Dempsey back into the ring.
Let's get ready to rumble, literally. That's what he's in there to do. He is his own niche. Oh, the left hand, and Davis. 1 minute into the fight.
Davis wondering where he is. This fight is over. This road. 24-16-0 with 24 knockouts. He's been KO'd 6 times in his last 10 fights at 341 slim pounds.
What's his best customer, I'm sure.
Gentlemen, touch gloves, get back to your corner, and good luck.
Scott Butterbean, a kind of a sideshow.
He's ever hit him before either, so that makes a difference.
Of Butterbean going up against Marcus Road and going into the last break.
Yep.
Butterbean.
He need to be a lot quicker, and he could be effective. He might be able to turn on a punch. Oh, he's just a sideshow.
Big ripping shots by Butterbean. And it started with the body shot with the right hand. And Road is facing a rugged road right now, trying to get, and it is over. So the Bean gasses Road in the 3rd round. The Bean, a winner again.
great historic bout. Let's see if he can do anything here to tell.
A good right hand. Hard right hand, and Butterbean goads Craven. He is much more stationary now and more of a target for Butterbean's big cage. Nady says not behind the Bean does. His technique is standing there. That should produce more of this.
Oh, but you got to
Craven wobbling as he tries to get away. Craven's legs weakening.
You guys got to work.
Back in Ellisville, Mississippi, Ken Craven's friends and family are saying, stop it. And Jay Nady does. Another knockout victory for the Bean and a sorely disappointed Ken Craven.
5-3 with 3 knockouts. He was knocked out in his last fight. Tonight, 41-1 with 31 knockouts.
After having turned pro in '85, one of them against Talon.
Butterbean, a little head movement, punching of his own. Butterbean missing with the right hand, scoring with a left and a right as Talon comes in to end round number.
Well, how many fights does he have?
Well, Talon just got knocked, and Butterbean trying to add his 32nd knockout. And he sends Talon down here in round 2.
He played the good body shot there.
Butterbean zeroing in, comfortably in control in this 4-round bout as he continues to pound the overmatched Talon.
3, 4, 5. That's not true. That is Paul Jones, the great defensive lineman from the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't O'Neal would beat him because he's a bigger guy, he's a big, strong athlete. Philosophy, it's a whole different psyche. A whole different sport. Butterbean's picking the right punch there. He's got a guy in front of him who's opponent in front of him to nail him a little bit like Funmaker, and Talon just can't. And Butterbean finishes him off here in round number 3. Make the punches, which he did. Make the punches, the return punches miss. The right hand over top really did.
Well, Butterbean comes into Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Springer. Record of 7-0, 5 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Butterbean Edge.
From the blue corner, gentlemen, I got a lot of beef in this ring. Obey my commands at all times.
Using. You know, like most in their debut, Paul Springer can probably give it, but can he take it?
Well, Butterbean used to the 1 minute about lifted Paul Springer off the canvas, and this one is stopped right away. And Paul Springer
still undefeated, Eric Butterbean Edge.
Huge waistlines. Everybody wants their belly closer than the head, too. Oh! See ya.
There was the power. 4, 5. He's at, and it is over.
These are heavyweights. It just takes one shot. You know,
Is 1-3, introducing dangerous Doug Norris. Undefeated with a record of 6-0, 4 KOs, introducing Eric Butterbean Edge.
I pay attention to my commands at all times. Back off, shake hands.
All the way through, so he could fight 4 times, and you're seeing some tough man windmilling by Butterbean. He still has that.
He's getting nailed, though, by Norris.
KO. And you see a reason why. He'll outbox him, but
well, it's wild now, folks, and there goes Doug Norris. Well, he never should have slugged with him. He knows that now. It's over.
The winner by knockout victory, his record now 7-0, the undefeated Eric Butterbean Edge.
1 victory, 5 defeats. He has 1 knockout. He is professional record, 16 victories, 1 defeat. He has 12 knockouts. 1 defeat. He has 12 knockouts. He hails from Bay City.
Okay, shake hands, come out boxing.
I don't know, it's good comedy when he sees it. But Butterbean looks for the wild three-swinging draw. That's what he feels the fans like to see. And he is all over his opponent, James Baker, and has him down in the first round. Baker, by the way, 1-5, has been knocked out in the first and is over. And now the crowd of Butterbean saw Jeremy Williams with a
professional record, 18 victories, 17 of those 18 victories by knockout, 4 losses and 1 draw. His professional record, 52 victories, 39 by KO, only 1 loss with 2 draws.
Break when I tell you to break. Touch gloves now, let's go to work.
But people do that for a couple of rounds, and then ultimately, of course, he's fighting.
Oh! It didn't take long.
Oh, it didn't take long for Butterbean on the floor. I don't think he's with us. That's it. I have.
That one punch is all it took. One punch.
He got lucky to get out of the ring before that left hand hit.
I haven't seen. Oh, we're listening to Butterbean right now. He's so pissed.
Tough man has won the first 2. Now has the biggest task of all, literally, and so don't expect him to lay down. Gets a good left from Butterbean, trying to. Henry just hanging in there. Oh, he took a shot off balance from Esch. But he goodness, cheer him on! Fight on, fight on, fight on! Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it. That's all. That's all.
That's wins, 4 losses. He has 34 wins coming by way of knockout. His record stands at 44 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 33 wins coming by way of knockout.
I see the belt line. Stand back. Go back to your corner, touch glove, and go to work, and don't tell me I do my job again.
Let's go to this. Butterbean goes right to it. Pounds lighter than Butterbean. There's an overhand.
Briggs rate a little too much. Didn't dive or train on his life.
Right to the glove of McNeely. Oh, he missed with the right. Fires away. Powerful punches by Butterbean. And McNeely in.
One on McNeely.
Oh, a right hand by Butterbean that snapped McNeely's head back. Another uppercut. It's all Butterbean. McNeely ready to go. And that's it. Jane 80 steps in and stops the fight just before the bell.
The winner by way of technical knockout, and still the king of the 4-rounders, Butterbean.
Не рискуют соваться. 34 победы нокаута. Кстати, не первый раз. Вовремя и издали. Действует в ринге как носорог. Он уже стал биться в грудь. Вообще ничего не умел делать. Дурака повалять. Ну, правда, с этим противник играй. Уж уважает Баттербина Ким Махун. Вот. Да, король 4-раундовых бойцов. Если такие существуют в природе. Баттербин.
1-0. He comes to us from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado. 15-0, 8 KOs.
There is Butterbean. He will race across the ring and attempt to get Monaco down quickly, and by golly, that's just what he did. So Monaco, who is in only his 2nd professional fight.
Butterbean may end up having some longer tough man fights than this one here.
Just the opposite of Butterbean. He lands a good right hand. Oh, there goes Monaco. 2nd knockdown in this round.
2 right hands thrown by Butterbean. 2 knockdowns.
Sometimes fighters get hurt early against Butterbean, but they get a 2nd win, and they start to...
Good night.
There goes Monaco. And I mean, there he goes. Well, that does it for this fight.
the winner by knockout victory, still undefeated, Mr. Butterbean.
For those of you who know Tennessee, and he's never been knocked out. He's 6'7", 255 pounds. He's got a record of 4 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 1 KO, and he's next on the list for the Bean. Mitchell Rose, who sliced Butterbean up with the jab in Madison Square Garden. 22 KOs for the hard-hitting Bean.
Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Is a substance abuse counselor for kids. Right, fast-paced first minute. You have to lean toward Butterbean because he tilts the earth into his. Judge from Reno, Nevada. Oh, Butterbean. Oh! Haymaker right hand by Butterbean, and Ed White paying the price for dropping his hands so low. That'll do it.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Crowd goes nuts. Blood streams down Butterbean's face from the cut under his left eye, but Ed White is gone.
1 minute, 14 seconds of round number 2. The winner by TKO victory and still the IBA 4-round super heavyweight champion, Butterbean.
3 pounds. He's boxing out of the red corner with the black trunks. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Scott Lindecker. Scott Lindecker. His record 31 wins, 1 loss, 24 by knockout.
Right hand puts Lindecker down.
I guess not, Doug.
Ramming packages. Hey, Scotty Lindecker with a week and a half to get ready for this fight. Consider basically he's a cruiserweight, but now he goes down just getting pounded too much to the body, and he finally weakened, and that was it.
Fatigue has caught up with him here. He shows the guts to get up.
Body shots are taking it all out of him. Down goes Lindecker. Fight is over.
Winner by knockout and still IBA super heavyweight champion. His name is the Bean Man, Butterbean.
Here is Blackjack Beard, the most well-recognized faces in professional boxing, the king of the 4-rounders. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Butterbean.
Ready, Sean?
Hey, I tell you guys, I've grown to...
And that's the end of the fight. And Bean says, come on.
Oh, the big right hand. And that dropped him. And I mean dropped him.
Bean's been waiting for that shot. That's it. He's still out. I mean, when you've been hit by Butterbean.
There's no losers in exhibition boxing. How about a round of applause for both Blackjack Beard and Butterbean.
And you get 10 for a big knockdown. Now fight hard and kick some ass.
Here we go, round 1, brawl for all. Butterbean and Bart Gunn. And Well, I'm going to tell you, I think without a doubt, probably Butter. Ooh, wow! Did you see that? Both of these guys got right. Butterbean right hand and a knockdown of Bart Gunn early on. Butterbean caught Bart Gunn with a hard right hand. 27 seconds left. There's the right hand, folks. It's over. Goodbye. It's over. Butterbean with a first-round knockout of Bart Gunn. Butterbean with a tremendous right hand. A first-round knockout of Bart Gunn. Woo! Dr. Rowe is your winner, Butterbean.
Michael's got his game face on. They're jaw to jaw.
I'll tell you though, Tom, this Tony does look ready. We're going to find out how intimidated he is with this crowd and with fighting for the world title right now.
He's been the villain all week. I think he kind of likes this role. You know, some guys like to wear the black hats into town and take on the hero.
We're going to find out. The first 2 rounds are very, very important right here for Tony. We're going to find out exactly what's going to happen now in this fight.
All right. Obviously, you know by now, Michael Nunn in the white trunks, Tony in the black, round 1. Here we go. This could be a beauty. We'll see if Tony takes it to Nunn right off the bat. He wants to cut off the ring and not let, as he say, Nunn get on his bicycle. Wild left by Tony. Does not land. Michael Nunn.
Look at the concentration on Tony. I like it right off the bat. He's going in there. He knows what he's got to do, and certainly right now, physically and mentally, he looks like he's ready.
Go to it. Couple of combination there. Nunn, he ever elusive, ducks. Nunn is just always a moving target. Very hard to get a punch on him, Dan. And very quick.
Well, as ready as Tony seems to be, the question still is he good enough to beat a Michael Nunn? Nunn's a very, very good fighter. Probably the best middleweight out there today.
Nunn fought his way out of the streets of Davenport. Some wild lefts by each fighter, neither one landing. There's Tony with a couple of body blows. Michael Nunn trying to pick his spot. Tony's come out firing, no doubt about it. Good body blow by Tony. Catches Nunn in the midsection. Nunn made his mark fighting his way out of it, literally fighting his way out of the streets of Davenport. He was in trouble a lot as a kid. And has made himself a champion. Good shot by Nunn. Right back by Tony. Tony answers that with a good left and a good right.
And Nunn posed after he hit Tony with that good shot. He posed, looked at his work, didn't think Tony was going to come back. Then he came back with 2 shots.
I don't think you can pose too long against James Tony, at least not early on. 2 unbeaten fighters here. Tony at 25-0-1, not 36-0. Right by Tony. He has none against the ropes, delivering a couple of punches.
To me, I think the key rounds for Tony are the early ones because I feel he's going to be the better of the 2 fighters towards the end of the fight.
The official is Denny Nelson, who worked Nunn's last fight in France. Tony throwing a lot of power, but Nunn keeps backing away. Nunn always bobbing and weaving. Tough to get a good shot at him, and Nunn got one in there.
No, Tony was off balance. Got hit with a little shot in the chest, but he's just off balance there. He's got a good chin, Tom.
Crowd is into this fight. You can see him on the edge of their seats. Good body blows here by both fighters. As we end to the 32nd mark of round 1. And plenty of action so far, Dan Goosen.
This is the type of fighter Tony is. As you can see, he's very elusive. He's very similar to Nunn in that way. He's very good side to side. It's hard to be accurate with your punches against him. That could end up frustrating Michael if the fight goes on much longer.
Nunn doing some dancing, and Tony with a smile on his face, actually kind of smiling that dance, saying, all right, show me your best shot. We're nearing 10 seconds of round 1. Tony coming out. Tony looks very strong here early on, and I think Michael Nunn knows he's got himself a handful of it. There's the end of round 1.
It's a good even round for both fighters, really, which, right now with Tony getting to be on even terms with Nunn, that's certainly in Tony's favor. Nunn's been the type of fighter through the years. Let's listen to Angelo. I'll get back to that second.
Don't lay in close. Use your jab. Use your jab. Move over, okay? See, the guy buddied you already, so I don't want you laying in there. Okay? Don't go for the...
They didn't give you that much body shot, but to the body and to the head. But keep the left hand up. Get a little busier. Be first. Be busy. Keep backing him up.
Good advice by Bill Miller to stay busy.
He's been busy.
And Angelo was correct with Nunn. He's got to use that jab, keep Tony off of him.
I'm sure Tony would like to get Nunn into a slugfest early on.
I want to get back to my point that I was making at the end of the round, that one of the things that Tony accomplished here, where most opponents haven't before, is that Nunn's been very good controlling opponents. For the 35 fights that we were together, I don't remember a round where he didn't really control it. Even when he got knocked down in his 14th professional fight against Carl Jones, he came right back and won the round every other way.
All right, Nunn with a little smile on his face now as he's keeping that jab. Nunn a left-hander. Tony has fought 5 left-handers before and beaten them all. Nunn's got Tony backed up a little bit, and the crowd gets into it. Of course, the crowd's going to roar on anything Nunn does. Fighters exchanging some body blows now. Nunn seems to have come out with a little more intensity here in round 2.
Well, he better, because this is the type of fight that's going to give him problems. You can see right now that Tony knows how to stay away from Nunn's power, make him miss.
Nunn got a left in there as Tony was just kind of posing on him. Well, the stats, I think, only show like a 1-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach, but as we've seen, those stats are a little padded. I think Nunn's probably got good 2-3 inches on him and maybe 3 inches of reach.
It's funny, Tom. When I saw Tony at our gym, he looked so much smaller than our kid Frank Lyles, and then I didn't think he would match up to Nunn like he did at the weigh-in, but they were very close in weight at the weigh-in. But right now in the ring, Nunn does look the bigger of the 2 men. But Nunn's always seemed to be that type of fighter. The only time I remember seeing Nunn where he looked like he was even with any opponent was Iron Barkley in size.
And of course, when you have those weigh-ins the night before, as Nunn lands a few jabs, they have a chance to eat all day, and they gain a lot of weight back quickly. Now, a lot of boxing experts say Nunn's really a light heavy right now.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Nunn's a big middleweight regardless.
Tony lands a pretty good left there. You can see the sweat and perspiration fly off Nunn's chin as James Toney going toe-to-toe with the champion Michael Nunn here. The IBF World Middleweight title at stake.
Tony better do more than this, though. I mean, he's showing Nunn that he's a good defensive fighter, but he's got to throw punches at Nunn. It's the only way you beat the champion.
Nunn seems intent to go after the head. He hasn't landed too many body blows on Tony. And just as I say that, he does a few. There's a good wrap to the chin by Nunn as they near the 22nd mark of round 2. Well, the leather flew a little bit in round 1. Now round 2 is the pace is slow just a little bit. Michael Nunn takes a wild left himself open. Tony recovers, tries an uppercut, it won't land.
Hard to get a clean shot in on Tony right now. He's going to have to go to that body. Real low blow right there.
At the end of the bell, and the official, Denny Nelson. The bell, not a real loud bell here, so some pretty good action after the bell. And the crowd loved every second of it.
Use your legs, use your speed. See, when you get behind them, wait for them to get up there.
Angelo, take it away.
I want speed. Give it to me. Open wide. Okay, spit it out. Okay, Michael? I want your speed. You want to show this guy your speed yet? Come on. In, outside to side. Go to your right. Okay? Comes up looking, nail him. Okay?
Davenport, baby. Davenport.
Well, that punch, Dad, is indicative of Tony's last round. He didn't throw any punches there. Clearly, Nunn's got the advantage in the second round.
Angelo Dundee wants Nunn to use that speed, as you heard. Of course, Dundee's seen his share of champions.
Well, the only thing, though, is that Tony's not no slow fighter out there. I mean, he's quick in his own right. He's quick with his feet and his shoulders where he can duck away from Nunn's punches very quickly. You saw that the last round where he put on a defensive clinic.
Good jab by Nunn. The right hand got in. There's another one. And another one. Michael jab.
You've got 2 excellent defensive fighters in there. Right now, Nunn's the more effective offensive fighter.
And they're slugging it out in the center of the ring. We haven't seen Michael use the speed that Angelo Dundee told him to after round 2. He's preferring right now to slug it out with Tony. There's a pretty good right by Tony. If that would have landed, that would have hurt. Tony seems to go maybe a little more to the body than Nunn is right now, Dan.
Good right by Tony there. Good combination.
They're slugging it out, these two are. Nope.
This is exactly the type of fight Tony wants. Right there in the center of the ring, having Nunn exchanging with him. Right now, with Tony being inside of Nunn, I think Tony's got the advantage there. Another good right off there.
Sometimes when animosity builds up in Michael Nunn's career, he's chose to do that.
The animosity is gone right now. No one's thinking about that. They're not thinking about the weigh-in. They're thinking about this fight right now.
Body blow by Nunn. Crowd chanting Michael behind us now.
Nunn's got no body into those punches. He's just winging them from the hip.
All arms.
You can see he's not stepping into anything.
Whereas Tony seems to have those feet planted when he throws his blows.
Exactly.
Uppercut by Tony. Glances off Nunn's chin.
In baseball terms, Nunn's getting infield singles. And right there, you can just see Mike's not planting his feet.
We're inside a minute in round 3, and this has been a very entertaining fight, no doubt about it. And some concern. That staggered Nunn just a touch. Hit him on the top of the head.
Got caught more on his heels, Tom.
Nunn with a couple of big lefts. Crowd getting into it there. They are throwing some punches.
Much more aggressive round for Tony. If he keeps this up the whole fight, it could be a whole different game.
Just a beautiful night here, cool by the river, and even the glare of the lights seems very comfortable here. I don't think either fighter will be bothered by the warmth.
Well, I know that I read in the papers today that underneath the ring lights that it would be stifling here for the fighters, but really it's had no effect on anyone. I'm sitting here with the full coat on. I'm certainly not working up a sweat.
We're ending the end of a very, very, very anxious and exciting round 3. There you see the big crowd on hand here at John O'Donnell, giving their fighter all the support he can. But right now, Michael Nunn's got to do it for himself, and he's getting all he wants from James Toney.
You hear me? Look here. Quit trying to knock this guy out with one punch and put some punches together. You don't have to go for the home run punch every punch, but get busier with them hands. We just spotted this guy the last 2 rounds.
Well, we see the advice of Bill Miller, and each fighter, I think, is trying to end this early. They got KO on their mind.
See, I mean, this with this exchange right here, Tony's doing well. He's just not doing enough right now. He's in the fight with Nunn. Nunn knows that he's not in there with a pushover. But right now, if Tony wants to win this fight, he's got to put more pressure and more punches on Nunn. As the CompuBox would indicate right here, Nunn has landed double the amount of punches.
And he got 5 or 6 in a row on that slow-mo replay you just saw. Good round for Michael Nunn. Round 4, ready to go. Nunn in the white trunks, Tony in the black. Tom Cornelis and Dan Goosen with you here ringside in Davenport, Iowa. The Rumble on the Riverbank, and it's been everything it's advertised. Tony now trying to take some of the action to Nunn. Kind of caught him with an elbow there.
Good jab by Tony. Stopped Nunn in his tracks.
Michael Nunn's a tough kid, no doubt about it. He likes to fight. He's got that mean streak in him. Wild left by Nunn, didn't land. Tony ducked under that one. Nunn trying to follow it up. You could feel the force of those blows.
I know the fans have been crying for Mike to get more flat-footed. He's got to stay busy, though. If he's going to be flat-footed, he's got to throw punches, because that's when he's susceptible to getting hit by counter punches by Tony. Like right there, except when he missed. So Nunn, if he's going to stand flat-footed like he is right now and not move around, he better stay busy.
Of course, we heard that was the advice of Tony's handlers as well. Stay busy. They're trying to knock him out with one punch. Tony seems to have lost maybe just a little bit of his aggressiveness. But of course, Michael Nunn's had a lot to say about that as we're halfway through round 4. Pretty tough, pretty close fight so far.
You know, I've been talking about how slippery Tony is, but Nunn can frustrate you also. I mean, this man is a great defensive fighter. Doesn't keep his hands up like the normal great defensive fighter does, but he does know how to use those shoulders to block punches, Tom.
He never really has taken too many shots in his career because he's just so darn hard to hit.
So, I mean, right there, he's just moving his feet, using his head to avoid punches. Very few fighters can do that.
Nunn with a big left, it missed. Had something on that, though. Tony going toe-to-toe with Nunn. He has cut off the ring. Nunn has not done any of his bicycling, backpedaling. He's chose to slug it out here with Tony.
That's not necessarily good because this is the type of fight Tony needs.
Nunn with a couple of jabs there, body blow. Tony trying to act like it's not hurting him. That could prove costly. 30 seconds to go in round 4. Nunn with a couple of rat-a-tat-tat jabs there.
I've always felt when fighters act like they're not hurt by punches that they some way are affected by it.
Pretty good right by Tony. Got inside Nunn. Nunn's left. There's an uppercut by Tony that just missed.
The best way to show a fighter that their punch didn't affect you, go right back and hit them. That's better than any smile could ever do.
Inside 10 seconds now in round 4. This has been a great fight so far. And there's the bell. Bell needs a little more zing on it too. It's hard to hear. Hard to hear that bell.
I'm anxious to hear what Bill Miller says now.
All right, let's tune into the corners.
We're keeping it too close. We got to start taking this fight over. Look here.
Beautiful skyline shot of the riverfront here in Davenport, Iowa, as we enter round 5. Michael Nunn getting some advice from Angelo Dundee.
Well, we did hear Bill Miller said you got to start taking this fight over to James Toney. And that's true. I mean, Tony's just doing enough to be in the fight, but not doing enough to win it. And if he keeps on going at this pace, he may frustrate Nunn. He may go the distance with Nunn, but he's not going to beat Nunn. And here, you don't need a moral victory. You got to win.
There you see the Compu box, 134 thrown by Nunn. He lands 51 of them. He's virtually doubled the amount of punches thrown so far.
Well, that's normal Michael Nunn M.O.
We are underway here in round 5. Scheduled for 12. The IBF World.
Tony stepped on his foot, but that's a normal occurrence when a right-hander is facing a left-hander. Their feet always seem to, get crossed up.
And you can see their toes are pretty much on top of each other there. Nunn's starting to kind of do a little more dancing, bobbing and weaving, which is his style. Zing in and out, come in and land a few.
Well, Tony mentioned in the press conference a few days ago that Nunn was going to run like a deer, and he was going to be the deer hunter. Well, Here goes Nunn running. Let's see what Tony can do about it now.
Yep. Mr. Tony said he's going to set some deer traps for Mr. Nunn. We'll see if he sets any.
Well, this is the one thing I do like about the boxing business, Tom. After all the talking is said and done, we see who can stand behind it.
That's where it's done, in the ring, not in the lobbies or in the press rooms. Nunn trying to get Tony to chase him now. Gives him a little back of the hand there. Tony with a big right.
I've always told our fighters, the ones that talk and can't stand behind it, I tell them, don't say anything. I want to see the action. Forget the words. The ones that can talk and back it up, I let them run off at the mouth.
That's right. Couple of good jabs by Tony there. Got inside Nunn.
Yeah, but Tony's not putting any body into these punches either. Those are kind of like love taps. That's not going to do anything to Nunn. If he wants to get Nunn's respect, he better dig him in there.
There's a big uppercut by Tony that missed. Nunn's just kind of taking there saying, well, let's see what you got.
Now, Nunn's sitting on those ropes doing nothing, looking over to his corner to Angelo, shaking his head like everything's under control. I'd rather see him going out there throwing punches, countering Tony's punches.
Tony throwing a lot of punches now that aren't hitting. Nunn with a body shot. Hits him side of the head. Michael Nunn's got Tony reeling just a little bit now. Crowd picking
Nunn's
up. Tony comes right back.
Nunn's only connected on one of those, Tom. Tony was moving away from all those punches. Only got hit with one real solid shot.
Now they tie up a little bit. 40 seconds left in round 5. The fans are getting everything they want so far. Big body shot by Nunn. Tony comes right back with a right jab. Left by Nunn reaches. Nearing the 20-second mark around 5. Nunn again. Getting inside with a couple of jabs. They're not hard jabs, but they are getting in. Inside 10 seconds now. And we'll see if anybody throws any last-second haymaker or not. And that is the end of round 5. James Toney and Michael Nunn giving the fans their money's worth here in Rumble on the riverbank. Let's go to the corner.
Move right. Okay, now come on. Give me the spun. Okay, now I want you moving.
This fight, we're giving it up in here. All right, show me then. Let's go out there and take over now. You hear me? Let's take over this fight now. Give him a little water. Let's make our move now. We need it now. It's time to turn the steam on now.
Good words of encouragement by Bill Miller in there to tell him to turn on the steam, but he's been saying that the last few rounds, and Tony really hasn't taken the advice to none.
Think he's getting a little tired?
No, I don't think he's getting tired. I just think he's getting frustrated also, trying to hit none. He's a tough guy to fight out there. And right now, if Tony doesn't pick it up, the only way he's going to have lights out on none if we have a power shortage here, because he's not going to knock out none with these type of offensive assaults.
None and Tony as we start round 6. None very quick on his feet. Tony just kind of plodding after him.
Still wondering why he's got that Jewish star on his trunks.
We'll have to find that out later. I'm sure there's a message in there.
Just thought I'd throw that one in there, Tom, why we didn't have any action.
I see that. Wild left by Tony. None ducks under it.
That's what Tony's got to do. He's got to let those punches fly. The only thing that happens, though, when he starts throwing from the outside like that, Nunn does have the advantage because of his height and reach, but those are the type of chances you've got to take as a challenger.
Yeah. And, of course, Michael Nunn was in Tony's shoes 3 years ago. He knows. Finally got a title shot. You got to take advantage of it. Nunn ducking under that right by Tony. Inside 2 minutes now in round 6. The IBF World Middleweight title on the line. Michael Nunn, 36-0. James Toney, only a tie among his 26 fights.
Tell you what, we just saw Nunn do when he was holding, Toney and Nunn were holding one another, and Nunn had his left hand free and he was throwing punches. I can remember for 5.5 years my brother Joe always telling Nunn, when you're holding, make sure you have one hand free to throw punches. And he's very effective. Nunn just got away with it just there.
Toney with a wild left, doesn't land. It's a right in there on Nunn there. Had a little something on it. Nunn just keeps that head. That head's always moving. Nunn kind of looked over at the Toney corner and said, he's not hurting me. He's kind of looked over.
And I can see why with the way that Toney's throwing those punches. He doesn't have any power on him.
Pretty good left by Nunn. Toney backpedaling just a little bit. And Michael kind of has picked up the fight once again.
There goes Toney with a backhand punch. I haven't seen that for years.
There's Nunn and Toney.
Probably Toney's best round since the beginning of the fight, Tom.
Toney certainly more than holding his own in this bout.
But this is where Nunn's been notorious on stealing rounds towards the end of the rounds. But here he hasn't thrown anything in the last 10, 15 seconds.
All right, there it is. The end of round 6. We're halfway through. And what has been a very, very hotly contested fight so far. Michael Nunn and James Toney. Let's pick him up in the corner.
You want to get back into it? Okay, now's the time to make you move. All right? The guy showed you he can be hit, can't he? All right, so get back in it now. Let's put some punches together.
What I like, I want you to pop, move over. When the guy comes straight at you, nail him with that left hand. Okay? Give it. I give it. Give me the water. Open your mouth wide. That'll be. Watch it.
There you see Toney with more punches thrown in that round.
Okay.
But Nunn landed more of his.
Well, when you have stats like this with the CompuBox, they're very misleading at times with a fighter like Nunn, because Nunn's the type of guy that'll flick out a jab, and doing that in a 3-second time period, you could have 5-6 jabs with as quick as Nunn is.
All right, we are underway here.
The second half of the fight, Tom, right now. We're going to see what happens. I mentioned earlier in the fight that I felt Tony would be the stronger of the two. Right now, it's not happening. Nunn still looks the fresher of the two.
We'll see what all this stamina and training mean right now. Of course, willpower. Nunn and Tony are into the home stretch. Both boxers in the center of the ring now, just kind of feeling each other out. Tony tries to get in a body shot, parried by Nunn.
See, Nunn's doing exactly what Angelo wanted them to do this round, except Angelo told him to throw that left hand. And right now, Nunn's got to realize when he throws that jab out there to follow it up with the left hand. If he doesn't do that, Tony comes in with that right hand like that.
Tony with a good right, and Nunn backpedaled just briefly. Tony shows he can certainly take a punch, no doubt about that.
Well, neither fighter have really been hit with what I would call a one-punch knockout shot yet.
No haymakers yet. Huh?
But I feel if either one of them were hit with a good shot, they'd both be able to take it. Nunn's got an excellent chin. And I've seen Tony get hit in his last two fights, and he's taking good shots.
Minute and a half gone in round 7.
Tony should forget about his pants coming down and throw some shots, because when he does that, Nunn's quick enough to come right back and throw a shot when he's got both hands pulled up his pants.
You don't want to get caught with your pants down? Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Well, you will with Nunn throwing them at you.
Nearing the minute mark. Round 7. Both fighters have thrown some punches this round, but neither one's really landed. Been a pretty even round. They tie up in the corners just a little bit.
There's a right hand.
When Tony throws that right, he seems to land it. You wonder why he doesn't throw it a little more.
Well, you know, sometimes Nunn keeps you in that position where he keeps you off balance, but if Nunn doesn't start throwing that left and Tony understands that that right's open every time, it could start being his big punch.
Body shot by Nunn as we near the 22nd mark of round 7. Big uppercut by Michael. He likes that one. That got Colombe. Little combination on the ropes. Now a little talking by Nunn. There's his end of the round theatrics. It'll steal him some points.
Well, Nunn learned this trick from his idol, Sugar Ray Leonard. Ray was one of the best at that. At the last 20 seconds of every round, he'd come out and steal the rounds. I used to hate it when Nunn used to do it while he was coming up with us, but he was so good of an athlete, he got away with it.
And they're a little nodding, a little gamesmanship at the end of that round, as we've seen all throughout the week. And, of course, later on at the press conference, they'll have their arms
around each other. That's why we're going to get back in this fight. We got to fight this guy. You hear me? Look at the doggy. Smack him. Okay, baby. Give me.
This has to be the Tony right hand.
Yeah.
Good right hand.
Head right around. Well, he caught that one pretty flush and shook it off. Now we see Nunn coming back near the end of the round. Here's where he had Tony against the ropes.
That's
a lot of punches, but really no damage.
That's vintage Michael Nunn, throwing 5, 6, 7 punches and talking while he's doing it.
A lot of action. We have a guy more worried about fashion if his shorts are dropping, and we got Nunn doing a little verbal jabs to go along with the others.
And Tony's listening to him. Well, Nunn tells him to stop, and Tony listens.
Nunn wanted to stop there and get something off the ring, and
fighters usually don't listen to referees. Since when do they listen to other fighters? I guess it's hometown courtesy.
Nunn trying to keep that right jab going so we could land the left, but Tony's done a pretty good job.
Was Nunn switching the right hand. He used to do that a lot in the gym back at home, but didn't utilize it too much in fights. I expect him to go right back to the southpaw stance. He usually does it for a little break.
Some contact there by both fighters as they tie up. Nunn can go lefty-righty, but there's the right hand. Got the left hand back.
That's what Tony's got to do. When Nunn's throwing that jab out, he's got to counter with that right hand. It's been hitting Nunn every time he's thrown it.
Tony stalking them now a little bit.
See, Michael, he's got the strength and size over all of these opponents he's fought lately. Curry and then the Starlings. He's got to go out there and take it to him. Yeah, that's
really against the ropes there. There's a couple landed by Tony as Nunn was doing some talking and didn't cover up.
Shouldn't have shaken his head. He should have come right back and started throwing punches rather than talking.
Sometimes a little jiving can get you in trouble. And Nunn paid for it that time. There's a good right by Tony. He's throwing the shoulder there, and the right has been there. Body blow blocked by Nunn. We're near the minute mark of round 8.
See, all those tactics that Mike uses against the ropes are good if you're way ahead in the fight and all that. Why he receives a great left hook from Tony. But what he's got to do is he can't play games like that. He's got to go out there and he's got to take these guys seriously. He should be just throwing punches constantly at Tony. Gets hit with another overhand right.
We're heading toward 30 seconds left in round 8. And Tony has done some damage to Nunn here this round. And his corner is telling him to keep it coming. Keep coming at him. And Tony is responding. There's that right again. You just get the feeling one of these times that right is really going to land if Nunn's not careful.
Well, he hasn't been, and it's landed. It just hasn't affected Nunn much. The question is, what will it, the next 4 rounds, what will happen?
5 seconds to go in round 8.
For the last 2 rounds, Tony has won in my book.
And you can just kind of tell by the way the crowd applauds after each round. I think they feel that way too. Kind of a reluctant applause for Nunn.
Cut your head. Get the heck off of it.
I think they realize that Nunn's in for a fight.
No doubt about it. Getting ready for round 9.
Well, we're going to find out exactly who's in the better shape right now. I got to say this, though. Tony has kept busy. He's been an active fighter for 2.5 years, and that's definitely in his favor right now. Michael, his last fight being October, prior to that April, he has not been an active fighter, which means that he hasn't been in that gym. These are tough rounds right now. As you can see, the last round, it was even up percentage-wise as far as punches being accurately thrown.
Here's that action on the ropes. Tony actually pushes him over. Nunn's hanging over. And while he's talking, Tony got in an uppercut.
Well, right now, Tom, I see Tony coming on those last 2 rounds, but Nunn built up a big early lead. First round I felt was kind of even, and then after that, Nunn kind of took over. But right now, Tony's back into the fight. He's got to win the next few rounds, so to give himself an opportunity to win a decision here.
Yeah, I'd say Nunn a slight leader. And of course, the champion's going to get the benefit of it out. You got to pretty much take the champion out if you're a challenger. There's a slip by Nunn there.
You notice how Nunn uses those ropes, Tom?
Yeah.
Throughout his career, he's always loved to play around on those ropes.
Does he like loose ropes, tight ropes? We say these
well,
ropes?
as you can see, these ropes, these are Michael Nunn ropes. He saw Ali use those ropes against George Foreman, and ever since, Nunn's always liked to stay on those ropes, bend down, and do the things that he did, except for the first time I've ever seen a fighter take advantage of Nunn on those ropes. That was Tony when Nunn was bouncing around on it. As loose as they are, Tony took advantage of it offensively.
Inside 2 minutes here in round 9. They clinch up.
If those ropes were a little bit tighter, Nunn wouldn't be able to dip down as far, and Tony would be in a better range to hit Nunn when he was on the ropes.
Well, the home ring advantage, you might say, just like watering that grass before a home plate. Tony again tries to get that right in.
Again, Tony's the busier fighter in this round also.
Oh, there, that one got him. That one got home. He's got Nunn hurt a little bit. Some vicious right left by Tony, and Tony trying to follow up on it. Nunn's punching. That uppercut shook Nunn's head too. Michael now fighting for survival. And trying to take it right back.
Good left by Nunn.
Well, if Tony, Nunn needed a wake-up call, he just got it. Now the crowd getting into it. as Nunn responds. Tony comes back with the right. Tony's corner is up. They like the way their fighter's going at it.
Well, I think Nunn realized this in the last 30 seconds that he got hit pretty well by Tony, and he better get serious if he wasn't. Now Nunn's been throwing the leather, but Tony's come back.
Long right by Tony, and now Nunn using those ropes again to his advantage as he ducks out of the way. A vicious right by Tony. That would have landed, Nunn would have really been in trouble. They're looking, saw Nunn gaze at the corner a little bit. At this stage of the fight, what's he looking for?
Right now, he better be looking for a hammer because Tony's taking advantage of Nunn looking everywhere else. Tony's hit him with some great shots this round.
This round, clearly.
Nunn is hurt. I'm telling you right now. His legs are wobbly there.
Big round for James Toney. And the crowd now, kind of like a seventh inning stretch, has decided they better get up and get Michael into it. And Nunn, you can just tell the way Tony's corner. Let's listen in.
You're going to have to come down the wall just like that there. And you can put this down his back. You can put this down the back if you put some punches together like that. If you put him on his back, if you put your punches together like you're doing now.
Show this guy.
Well, he put some punches together here. Look at that right. Nunn's head slapping back. The right again. Tony with a barrage of punches. And Nunn trying to come back.
Well, Nunn did come back in that last round, but then Tony came right back, and that's a sign of a kid that wants to win this fight. You know, Tony kind of woke up, and then at the beginning of the round, Nunn put on his offensive spurt, and then Tony came back. Nunn was looking in the corner for some advice. He better keep his mind out in the center of the ring.
I think if Michael Nunn doesn't know he's into a fight, something's wrong. And Tony appearing more confident with each round there. He probably has taken the last 2 rounds. This fight is very, very close right now.
I've got him taking the last 3 rounds and hurting Nunn in the last round.
Michael Nunn's a champion, and he's got to show what champions are made of right now. The setting is his. Hometown fight, hometown crowd, and James Toney's rode into Dodge and done a pretty good job against the Sheriff so far.
I've never seen this type of look in Nunn's face as far as being inside the ring. He actually realizes that he's in a fight. It's the first time that I can remember ever seeing Nunn in trouble.
You can see it in his eyes just a little bit, not quite so cocksure. Tony following it up, trying to get Nunn on the ropes. Michael using that speed. Tom Cornelis and Dan Goosen here with you. Ringside on the Riverside in Davenport, Iowa. There's that right by Tony again. And Nunn just hasn't been able to really defense that when Tony's gotten it in, and his crowd just keep coming at him.
You know, it's
Tony's
ironic.
had a great game plan, Dan.
Well, the game plan was to stay there during the early rounds with Nunn, and he succeeded in doing that. Now he's throwing a lot more punches, he's a lot more effective, and Nunn's a lot more tired. Because of that now, Tony's a lot more accurate with his punches.
What does how close this fight is? What does this do to Nunn's confidence?
Well, to me, Tony's won the last 3 rounds, but he just gave Nunn a shot to come back into it. I don't think Tony can afford to play around, act like he's playing possum. He should be out there throwing punches, trying to win this championship. He's not going to endear himself to the judges acting that way.
We're inside a minute. Ooh.
Good right counter by Nunn.
And this, I think the stage is set for quite a finish in this one. It'll be a no-holds-barred final 2 rounds. Tony shows no signs of slacking off. And Nunn has to reach down a little bit here and find out what got him to 36-0. Big right by Tony. Nunn doing his best to duck out of the way. Crowd's chanting for Michael. Those lefts just won't go.
Well, the fans haven't had much to cheer about here for their hometown hero, Nunn. They're trying to spur him on right now to get Tony out of there. Well, He just hurt him right there. He just hurt
big
Nunn right there with a good right hand.
And Nunn goes back to that corner, and he's just a little shaky.
I'm telling you right now, just looking in the corner right now at Nunn, he is not there right now physically.
We're running out of rounds. We got to dog this man. We got to go out there and fight him all night, the rest of the way. We can't give up nothing else. We need every round.
Now, Mike, you only got 6 minutes, son. Don't get sloppy on me. And don't go reaching. Get these eyes out here. And don't go reaching. I don't want you reaching. I want you pop, move over. Move to your right. See, the guy's trying to step on your feet, right? Okay. Let's go. You're too small for this guy. Mouthpiece. I got it. There you go. Pop.
Well, right now Angelo's giving him good advice, but I don't think good advice right now is going to help Nunn. I think what's going to do it is whether or not he's got the energy to stay there with Tony.
All right, round 11. Scheduled to go 12. Both fighters go out for an early clinch. Crowd chanting Michael, but Tony's done a pretty good job of, as they say, taking the crowd a little bit out of it.
This is what happens when you're a champion. Everyone comes gunning for you, and you make an average fighter a championship caliber fighter just because he's fighting you. And this is what's happened to Tony right now. He's up another level, big level up in his career right now, and he's going head to head with the champion.
He's letting it all out, no doubt about it. Tom Bell, Dan Goosen with you, Davenport, Iowa. Michael Nunn's hometown, and James Toney's doing his best to spoil the party.
But Tony had that look at the beginning of the fight tonight when he was standing there for the introductions, and he was unfazed with everything. He was just going to come out here to do a job. And right now, he's done it.
And it's been that right hand that has been Nunn's nemesis. Nunn using the ropes. Tony takes a wild swing, falls into him, and there's vintage Nunn. On the ropes, big right hand by Tony. Just about the time Nunn starts to get a little momentum, that right hand comes crashing and sends him back. Inside, a minute 40 here in round 11.
As a boxing manager, Tom, I never felt safe with any type of decision. That's a combination of a good shot and Nunn going backwards.
A little momentum provided by Tony sent Nunn back against the ropes.
But what I was saying is I never felt comfortable taking any fight on a decision because you never know how another judge was looking at something. And if Tony wants his championship for sure, he better try to knock Nunn down.
Oh, he did it.
Right there.
He came back with a left, and Nunn is down. Michael Nunn.
They better get their corner off, I'll tell you.
This corner is up. James Toney landed a haymaker, and I don't think Nunn's going to get up. His crowd trying to get him back. Nunn looking at it, and they're going to let him fight.
I'll tell you, he's
55 seconds to go. Nunn
right
better
now.
be careful. Nunn better be careful. Ooh. He's down. He's hurt. Will they stop this fight? Tony trying to finish him off. The towel is thrown in.
I'll tell you.
They threw the towel in. James Toney.
It's that left hook. They stopped it.
Michael
We've got a new IBF middleweight champion of the world.
We have a new IBF middleweight champion of the world. James.
Amazing,
lights out Tony. Unbelievable. His knockout Michael Nunn in his hometown. Nunn did not know what hit him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 2 minutes, 14 seconds of the 11th round. Referee stops the bout. The winner by TKO and new IBF middleweight champion of the world, James
All right, let's talk.
I've got James Toney sitting right here with me in the ring with his new IBF middleweight championship belt. You said you were going to bring it back to Detroit, and you're doing it, or I should say Michigan.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say this is a late birthday for my manager, Jackie Callan, and an early Mother's Day gift from my mother, Sherry Toney, who helped me and supported me so much throughout my young career. And I want to thank everybody back at home at CMI Health and Tennis Club for giving me all the support. Everybody back at home, I'm bringing the belt home, baby.
Got it, baby. James, baby girl.
And one more, I can't forget my little sweetheart, Elizabeth. Here's that sign, sweetheart. I'm all right. Baby girl, baby.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions about the fight. First off, James. James, you lost a lot of the early rounds. In fact, most of the early rounds and a few of the middle rounds. Did you ever get discouraged? How did you keep the presence of mind to stay in this fight and to come back as well as you did?
I told you before, early this morning, the crowd don't mean nothing. They can't come and help him win the fight. So between the rounds, Papa Magic, Bill Miller was telling me, keep it cool, you got to keep the pressure on him. We lost that round. and I had to get with him. You know, I had to keep the pressure on him, and I knew sooner or later I was wearing him down, and I knew I would get to him sooner or later. In that 11th round, now I heard him in the 10th round really with that left hook in the right hand. And I said, I got this son. I got him now. I got him now. And in the 11th round, I just capitalized on him.
Let me ask you something, James. Was there ever a point in this fight, because you took some great shots, that you got a little wobbly or hurt? I didn't know if you were playing possum or if you were really hurt a couple times.
He didn't hurt. This is honest to God truth. Michael Nunn did not hurt me. He quick and everything, but he did not hurt me at all. If you look at the punch, I was slipping every shot he was trying to throw at me. And I was like, you know, yeah, come on, try to sucker him in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think the new conditioning, the training program that you went through, is that what won you this title?
Yes, that's definitely right. Now, everybody at CMI was great, you know, supportive of me. I trained hard, and Jackie got me the facilities I need to get in great shape for World Championship fight. And I just knew that once I get him with a good solid shot, he was all mine.
Well, it took you a while, and you did listen to your corner, Bill Miller, who told you, don't give up, you got to stay in this fight, you got to dog him, you got to stay on him, and you did exactly that, and it paid off for you in the end.
Of course, you know, like I said, the key to the fight is listen to your corner people. And if you listen to them, they can't go wrong.
Bill, let me ask you a question. Let me get you in here, because I know you've worked so darn hard with James Toney. Where do you go from here with James?
James, well, we can't go nowhere but up. It's time for him to get some of the mega bucks.
All right, listen, James, I'm going to let you enjoy your victory. Go ahead, one more thing.
Thanks to Robert Lee, the IBF, for giving me the opportunity to fight for his title. And thanks to Mr. Bob Arum for giving me the opportunity. And thanks again, thank Michael Nunn, because, you know, he didn't have to fight me. He could have fought Reggie Johnson, but he gave me the shot.
That's right. Go enjoy your title. Great victory for all of you. And let me get Michael Nunn in here. Angelo Dundee told you in the corner, he said, Mike, don't get sloppy on me. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. Got a little sloppy. Angelo told me to get sloppy. Got a little sloppy, but I'll be back.
Yeah, I bet you will, Mike. What are you going to do? You're going to take a little rest after this right now?
And then come back and fight again. You know, I'm a true champion. I'll come back.
Let me tell you something. I never saw you look sharper. You look great in this fight. You put on a dazzling display of boxing. You surrounded him with a lot of punches. Did he take a great shot from you?
He took a pretty good shot. Yeah, he took some good shots. You know, I can't take it from him. He took a great shot.
All right, Michael, listen. All the best to you, and I hope you come back soon and get that title back.
No doubt I will.
All right, take care.